we're wanting to amend the vendor permit policies. We want to amend item number 4 of the current policy. Items sold should be limited to flowers, plants, food products that are homegrown, arts and crafts that are handcrafted, with the exception of nonprofit organizations. No weapons of any type or description shall be displayed or sold. And we would like to amend item number 6 for the policy to food may be sold from push carts, no self-contained vehicles or trailers may be used for preparation of food. All smokers must be placed on Vernon Street or a designated area. We would like to amend item number 7 of the policy to selling of items from the trunk of car will not be permitted. No merchandise will be displayed on top of vehicles or draped across windows, with the exception of fresh produce items in the farmer's market. And our goal is to we have been working a lot with the downtown, and we try a lot to present a certain look for the square, and we have to go by the preservation board's rules with paint colors and all those things to try to create a certain look for the square. And we spend a lot of money trying to get these festivals going, and a lot of money on advertising, and to have people just show up and then we have no control over it's kind of frustrating. But we're flexible on this. This is all just a suggestion.
So like the daily vendors, that doesn't count for festivals? That's a different?
It's a totally different thing. Right now they get permits and they renew them every 3 months, and basically they can set up whenever. But we've had problems during festivals, people just showing up and trying to deal with, informing them that during festivals we have different fees, because
They're told that when we sell them the
They are.
permit. If they come up and pretend they don't know, that's not true. Because they are told if there's any activity going on the square, they have to contact the people that are in charge of that activity in order to be able to sell there.
Okay. This last festival we had these problems.
Well, and I tried to address this several years ago, because it's not fair to the merchants on the square that you got people coming in that aren't collecting sales tax. They're not paying rent, they're not paying utilities, they're cherry picking the days, they're there when the weather's good, they're not there when the weather's bad. And so I called all the area towns, Granbury, Cleveland, Meridian, Steenville. Nobody else allows vendors to set up, period. That's one of the reasons that we've kind of pulled back on having festivals. It's such a hassle, because you've got these people saying, well, we've got permits, and we think we're able to set up, and, yeah, it's not allowed, but then you get there's not an enforcement policy. I mean, they're stuck in a position of trying to enforce our rules.
What about the vegetable vendors? You don't want them either?
No, the vegetable vendors are fine. We're talking about the people that are selling the blankets that's draped all over their van.
Well, there can't be more than 3 because we haven't sold that many permits.
Well, but you're just setting a precedent. You're just setting a precedent. I mean, why is that one person what is the permit for?
$50 for 3 months.
And for 3 months for $50, where you've got people paying hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars on rent and utilities and advertising. And the people that in some cases are actually competing against your stores with, the same merchandise.
Who else downtown sells blankets?
I just think it's wrong to let people come in and set up when they're not, number one, they're not collecting sales tax. Number two, if they are, they're not paying it to Glen Rose. They're paying it to where they live.
Our biggest problem though is just the enforcement of it, because we don't really have, Weldon's not always on duty, it's just enforcement.
And that's the reason it's the easiest just to do away with it. And then if they're on the square, they don't have a permit and they shouldn't be there. Festivals is a whole different matter. Festivals, you can bring in the food trailers, you can bring in any kind of vendor you want to that the festival's willing to accept.
So right now, who are the people that have the permits? The one that do the jams and jellies?
Yes, the lady who does the jams
She does
and
it every-
jellies. And there can't be more than 2 other permits. There can't be more than 3 permits
I don't
issued
think
right
there's
now.
anybody else.
We never have that many. Some of those people may be down there without permits, but we
Well, and
haven't
I
issued
think-
that many.
And I think that's the issue. You've got people that are setting up there that you don't know about.
Well, aren't they gonna do it anyway?
No, I mean, if you see somebody sitting there in the current situation, like if I drive by, you don't know if they have a permit or don't have a permit. And I've stopped before and asked somebody to get a permit, and they say yes, well,
Let me see it.
no, I mean, that's it. But if they're there and we don't have this permit system, we know they're not supposed to be there.
Yeah, but who's gonna run them off?
Well, I'll run off the ones I see. I mean, anybody can run them off. I think the merchants will run them off pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, downtown association will.
You're talking about the tax? When you have a festival, you guys collect the tax? Or how do you do the tax?
You can require them to show you their sales tax permit and make sure it's paid.
I mean, but you're saying that a lot of them take it back to where they come from. If they come from out of town, what do you do?
There's nothing you can do.
Okay, so,
But I'm venturing to bet you any amount of money you want to bet that the people selling those blankets are not collecting any sales tax.
you don't know, Bill?
I think I'm of the opinion that we shouldn't let anybody go, except for the farmer's market.
If you have such a small amount, then why not eliminate it?
Yeah,
That's up to council.
I'll make that motion.
What motion?
You make-
Do you wanna make the changes they've asked, or do you wanna do away with vendor permits
I want
altogether?
to do away with vendor permits altogether except for the farmer's
Well,
market.
we don't make them get permits.
And of course, you know, and that's not gonna change the festivals or anything, okay? That's my motion.
Okay, so if there's
What's your
nothing,
definition of
it's
what's
gonna
gonna be
do
in
the
the
job.
farmer's market?
She said
Homegrown
farmers.
products, handmade items, like the jams and jellies.
So food items, basically, right? I mean, homegrown food, vegetables, and,
So we're
Yeah,
gonna sell
produce.
permits to people who have food?
well,
We
I'm
have
saying
to
No,
not
that
look
falls
at-
under the farmer's market.
They're getting completely out of the permit business.
What if somebody wants to set up somewhere else in town? They can't get a permit now?
No permits.
What if there's an empty lot somewhere else in town where they want to do that on the highway?
No permits,
That's no permits.
no vending permits.
That was one of my questions, who approves the permits?
We do in our office.
So it'd be at your discretion whether that was something that would be beneficial or not beneficial.
Oh, I don't wanna make that decision.
No.
Either yes or no.
Y'all make it and tell us what to do.
So does anybody ever, like he said, anybody ever ask for a permit to go like
Yeah,
a lot
there's-
somewhere else?
Yeah, up there, well, he doesn't do it anymore, but the little man that had the big old station wagon with the Indians artifacts, he used to sell out of Milton's parking lot, and he always had a permit. Anybody that sells within the city limits that's not in a building is supposed to buy a permit.
Well, can I just make that motion within the square area, the preservation district, I guess, right? Is that what would consider that? I'll make that motion that way.
No vendor permits in downtown area?
okay, I have a motion, do I have a second? Okay, if we don't have a second, this dies for lack of a second, and, y'all wanna look at it, or just leave it the way it is, put it back on for next time?
And when I'm downtown and I see somebody selling something, I possibly, might stop regardless of what it is, and that might lead me to walk over to another shop downtown area, and do more touring of the town, just buy a blanket or something else catching my eye. That's just the way I feel about it, that, it could go the other way too. It could be a cluster, and that's something we don't need. So I'd like to look more time to maybe discuss it.
Is that a motion?
That's the motion.
So I have a motion, do I have a second to table this and look at it at a later date?
I'll second it.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to table this and look at it at a later date, all in favor? Okay.
The current blanket people don't have a permit, or they do.
It expired already.
We were there this past weekend.
Yeah, they're still setting up.
Well, now you can throw them off. I'm sure you will.